Hey everybody, Mo here, and today I'm bringing you a video on the decks I'm expecting to play tomorrow when Legends of Runeterra launches. So today is Wednesday the 22nd, and so the open beta starts tomorrow for everyone that was already pre-registered, or Friday the day after tomorrow for people that weren't able to pre-register in time. So this is just going to be a quick glance. I already made a video on the 5 best decks I thought were going to come out that you could play at the start of Legends of Runeterra open beta, but the patch notes just came through. I feel like it completely gutted one of those decks, and that being the Tryndamere Nivea control deck, because it nerfed, I think, like 3 or 4 cards that were in that deck. So that deck got hit pretty hard, which, to be fair, I thought it was the best deck by far in the beta, and I said several times that was going to be the deck I was going to start playing with. But instead, I was streamed today for about 4.5, 5 hours, and all that time I was theory crafting by myself and then theory crafting with a bunch of viewers on some decks that I expect to see do well in ranked ladder, as well as decks I'm going to be personally trying out. So today, to keep this video kind of shorter, because I don't want to spend another 4 hours or leave a 4-hour VOD here on every single deck that we made. I'm just going to go over the 3 decks that I'm going to try and buy and try and make tomorrow or in the next couple days to go ahead and just grind ladder with. Now, I have a general rule of thumb that comes to card games, as in like Magic the Gathering. Whenever a new set would drop or a banned and restricted announcement would happen right before a tournament, or if a set would drop the weekend of a big tournament or something, I always had this rule where I would just pick the most consistent and fastest deck, and I would just bring that to the tournament. And I did that, I think, 3 times, and 2 out of those 3 times I top 8'd, and the 3rd time I was actually a team event, so I think we ended up like top 16, so barely missed out top 8. So needless to say, it's worked really well for me. And just in general, I think it's the best line, because if you think about it, you are going to play a deck that's really fast, even if it's not the best aggro deck or the fastest aggro deck or the most consistent. It's going to be pretty fast and pretty aggressive. Meanwhile, your opponent's going to be over there trying to play some type of weird turn 7 combo deck or super late game control deck or weird mid-range deck that's not really fine-tuned yet. And you're just going to be like, I don't care what you're playing, I'm just going to play my 1 and 2 drops and then hopefully kill you before you sit there and turtle around. Because what I expect a lot of people to do is to sit there and goldfish with a bunch of decks. If you don't know what that means you're just going to sit here, make a deck in Mobilytics like I've done here. Maybe it's some like 6-card infinite combo that happens on turn 12 if you draw the exact perfect cards or whatever, and they'll sit there and they'll go, oh Brad, this hand's perfect, or they're like, oh, this hand, and then if I draw into my 3 perfect cards, I'll win every single time. That's goldfishing, is when you just sit there and you just pretend draw cards as if it was a game scenario, and they'll think, oh, this deck is insane, it can't lose. Well, that's, a lot of decks are like that when you sit there and you do nothing but draw the cards by yourself and don't take into account what your opponent could possibly play. So I'm just going to try and make this video a little bit quicker. I'm not going to go super in-depth with all 3 of these decks. I don't think there's really too much depth to go into it, really, as well. So I'm just going to get in here. Now, all 3 of these decks, like I said, if these are going to be the 3 decks I'm going to try and play over the next couple of days. So we're going to get in with the first deck, and this deck is just going to be a very standard aggressive deck. This is basically, if you want to equate it to Magic, this is going to be your like red-white aggro deck or your mono-red aggro deck. And that's all this deck is. This deck is just curves out at 3, plays a bunch of 2 drops here, and everything in this deck does damage. I'm pretty sure it's just like direct damage. Oops, I just took a card out. But anyways, everything in here is just good at doing damage. Like this attacks, deals 1 damage, so a possible 1 mana 3 damage card. This right here is this got nerfed, so it only gets challenged if you play another creature, but that won't really matter until like turn 2 or turn 3 anyways, where you're already playing creatures, so it's fine. But this is a 1 mana creature that does damage. This is gonna essentially be 1 mana, deal 3 damage. This is 1 mana, deal 3 damage. So all of your 3 out of 4 of your 1 mana cards deal 3 damage. And this card has the ability to make you do more damage by, in the later games, turn 3 or turn 4, being able to pull your opponent's biggest blocker onto him, he'll sacrifice himself so that way your Lucian can get through or your super buffed minion can get through. So far we have 3 cards that automatically just deal 3 damage. The 2 drops real quick is just going to be, this card is good. It's a 2/2 spider, it makes a 1/1, so it's like a 2 mana 3/3 kind of. It brings you 3 power. This gives you 4 power. Lucian's 2 mana 3/2. I shit on Lucian a lot during my tier list video because I think he's not a good champion. Like, I think his ability is not very good. I think the flip side of him's not, I guess his flip side is good when it happens, but I don't expect it to happen too often. But as far as just a straight aggressive creature, I said he was very good. So that's how we're basically using him here, is just as an aggressive creature. It's a 2 mana 3/2 with quick attack. We have another 2 mana 3/2 here, and this one doesn't have quick attack, but the reason it's in the deck is because it provides a barrier for an ally. So let's say you play a 1 mana 3/2, and then turn 2 you play this 2 mana 3/2, but you give your first one barrier. Now you basically get a free attack. So if your opponent does have a creature, they have to force a block there, and it's probably not going to be a good block in your opponent's favor. And then we're just the champions you play in this deck, like I said, are Lucian and Katarina. And I really like Katarina. I think Katarina is probably one of the best cards in the deck. Unfortunately, I don't really know exactly how to play her perfectly. I'm pretty sure the best shell for her is going to be in a Zed Katarina deck, because I think Zed's really good, Katarina's really good. Katarina's ability, just real quick, is whenever she strikes, you recall her, and then after she transforms or she levels up, every time you play her, you get to reset your attack. And every time she strikes, it bounces back to your hand so you can play her again. So you can get up to 3 attacks per turn if you play it correctly. So this is just going to be just a hardcore, I'm going to play my creatures really fast, reset my attacks, and attack you multiple times a turn, and beat you down really fast before I care what you're doing. This is the second deck. So this was actually the first deck that I really liked. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and go through, jump around. I'm going to go through about 3 test hands with you guys for each deck, just to kind of show you what to do. So this one is fairly good. I mean, you play your creature on turn 1, creature on turn 2, Katarina on turn 3. There you go. That hand is perfectly fine. This hand, we can go and get rid of this guy because you have you already have 2 3-drops. So we can get rid of him, so now you have your 1-drop, your 2-drop, your 3-drop. This deck's probably not going to mulligan too often, since majority of your creatures are 1, 2, and 3 mana creatures. You're just going to get those most of the time. So right here you play 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana. The only time you really mulligan is if your hand is like 3 pump spells or 3 spells and only 1 creature or something like that, or maybe if you're missing a 1 mana creature, I'd go ahead and mulligan really hard to try and get a 1 mana and 2 mana card. So you're for sure doing something every turn. Alright, now the next deck. This is a kind of aggressive deck. This is more of a mid-range deck. This is going to be your Ionia Shadow Isle deck, and the champions this deck plays is Zed and Hecarim. Now, this is more of a mid-range deck. Even though it does have some synergies, it has the ephemeral synergy with Chariot Shark here, and then I play a bunch of ephemeral creatures, and then I play creatures like Ancient Crocodile Boy, who you kill 2 of your creatures, like your Undyings, ideally. So you just get a 4 mana 7/7. But this is also mid-range because every creature you're playing here has the stats that just completely obliterate anything else. Like a 1 mana 4/3, that's absolutely insane. This card combos really well with a lot of your other cards. We'll get to those in a moment. Black Spear, you can play Black Spear if you feel like you're getting ran down by aggro decks more often. This card's interchangeable with just another 2 mana creature. There's a 2 mana, where's she at? This girl right here, the Silent Shadow Seeker. If you're playing against more mid-range to control decks, you can play this instead of the Black Spear. But I just put the Black Spear in because I'm assuming, at least in the higher level of play, you'll run into more aggro decks in the first couple days than you will control decks. You probably won't see control decks until about halfway through the season. So Curse Keeper is really good because it forces your opponent to deal with it, or they're just going to consistently take damage. And then once they do deal with it, it spawns a 4/4. This is also a really good kill fodder for your big Crocodile Boy. So ideally, you can kill this thing, and you kill the Undying, and you get a 4/4, and then you get another 3/3 out of it. The Undying combos super well with Obvious Islander. So it reduces the Undying's cost to 2, and it gives it Ephemeral. So you play this on turn 1, you can play the Undying on turn 2, it'll attack, kill itself because of Ephemeral, but then instantly come back, and then you'll get a free 3/3, basically. Chariot Shark comes back when you attack with ephemeral creatures, And just as you go up the curve, your cards get bigger. The 3-mana 5/5, I think this is probably one of the best ephemeral cards in the deck, or just ephemeral cards in general. This 5/5 lets you kill off something really early, or really low costing and shitty, and makes it come back as something that costs 2 more, so you can kill your 2-mana card here if no one's killed it yet, and you get a free 4-mana card. And then you get Hecarim, where late in the game, hopefully can be a closer. You got Rasa, who's a really nice tempo play, where you play him, and then you can trade one of your creatures that died this turn for 2 of their creatures. You have Commander. You're only playing 1 Commander here, because he is an 8-coster. A lot of the later game cards, like the more expensive ones, you're only going to be playing 1 or 2 of, because you don't want to have the option of getting your early game hand stuck with all of these 10 and 8 costing cards, because you'll probably lose. And then you're playing 1 of the Harrowing, which it's not popping up for some reason. Basically, this brings back, I believe it's 8 of the highest power units that's died this round and gives them Ephemeral. So this is just your late game haymaker. I'm going to close the game on you really fast, or in 1 turn basically. Oh, there it goes. Oh, it's, yeah, 6 of the highest powered units. Because it just goes, okay, well, I've already played these cards and they've all died. Well, now you're going to play this and just bring back 6 really big units and then just swing out with them. And it's going to be absolutely crazy. This is something you play after a board wipe against control, or if you're in a mirror match of mid-range type style decks, you're just going to play this and run them over. You're effectively getting 6 cards worth of value just out of 1 card. Let's go and do a couple hands here. So this hand's fucking insane. Also, you play Deny, and every Ionia deck I'm probably going to try and play Deny, because there's no other card like it. It's really good. So this hand's really good. You can probably get rid of Shadow Fiend here, because you already have a turn 1 play and a turn 2 play. And so here you go. So you play Islander turn 1. You have the combo with Undying. You play Undying turn 2. It'll die with Ephemeral, but it'll come back because of its ability. And then you just keep growing from there. And then this is really nice 1, 2, 3 play. And we'll go again. This hand is not very good. So usually if you don't have a bunch of creatures in my opener, I'll get rid of all of my spells, like my kill spells and my Deny, because for these kill spells to work specifically, you'll need creatures to die. So if you don't have creatures to die, they don't work. And Deny early game, I'd rather have a creature to apply pressure. So here, the hand got infinitely better. You have a turn 1 play, a turn 2 play, a turn 3 play, and you have a Deny for backup later into the game. And the last hand we're going to do here is this hand. This hand is, this hand's okay. I'd probably get rid of these 2. The main problem with Crocodile here is your ephemeral creatures can't die to Crocodile without getting their value, because most of the time they have jacked stats, so you want to attack with them, because their downside is ephemeral. So if my hand's like nothing but ephemeral creatures, I'll usually get rid of the Crocodile. So I'm going to roll these, and my hand just got a lot better, so I'm probably going to play this on turn 1. I don't know exactly what I'm going to give ephemeral and make it cost 1 less. Probably the Chariot Shark. If you do the Chariot Shark, then you can play both the Chariot Shark and the Fiend on turn 2 and just swing out. And then turn 3 you can play Zed. Zed summons a creature with Ephemeral, and because of that, it'll bring the Chariot Shark back on turn 3. And so you're just applying pressure on every single turn. So this is also a really nice combo. This combo happens not nearly as often because it's a 3-card combo. But if you play Islander on Chariot Shark, then turn 2 you can play 2 1-drops, and then you're just pumping out 7 damage out of nowhere. So that's this is a really good deck. Goldfishing the deck looks pretty nice, and it's very flexible, whereas you can change out cards like the Black Spear and cards like the Harrowing, depending on what matchups you're hitting more. If you're hitting more aggro matchups, you can take out the Commander and put in more early game creatures like this, a 2-mana 2/3 that can block fairly well. That makes your ephemeral creatures a little bit bigger. And if you're playing against more control decks, you can take out your kill spells for more threats like this. The very last deck, this will be the very first deck that I build, and this will be, in my opinion, this is probably one of the safest and probably the best bets you can make on an opening day deck. And it's going to be the Yasuo Tempo deck. So the only champion I play in this deck is going to be Yasuo. And this deck's going to look kind of wonky, but that's because I teched really hard for aggressive matchups, because that's what I'm expecting to hit a bunch of. So you'll see here I have everything curves out at 3, or not curves out at 3, but I play 19 3-drops. So literally almost half of my deck is a 3-cost card. That means that the odds of me not playing something early game is going to be astronomically low. So I can deal with my opponent playing a creature on turn 1, a creature on turn 2, and a creature on turn 3. I can more than likely deal with that with my own creature on turn 2 or so, or start dealing with stuff if I'm going first. So you just have all of your stun cards, you have all of the recall cards to work with your Yasuo. So by the time you play Yasuo on turn 4, you can start killing your aggro opponent's little creatures. as well as I decided to play a bunch of small creatures here to try and save a bunch of life. So you play Fey Blade Twirler, is going to be one of your win conditions, and you play House Spider. This card's really good against aggro because it gives you 2 bodies. So this is one of the scenarios where it being 2 bodies is better than just being a 2-mana 3/3. Because you can use the 1/1 to chump block. Let's say your opponent has a, just a creature that's 2 mana, and then they just put 7 pump spells on it, but they don't give it Overwhelm. They just make it like a 20/20. Well, if it doesn't have Overwhelm, you can just use the 1/1 spider that this creates and block it, and then you just get a free block, and you still have the actual spider, the actual 2/2 itself, to block another creature. And the River Shaper, this is a good card for value as far as it can block a 3-mana card, maybe trade with it, but then you also draw spells, so you're never losing card advantage. Shadow Assassin, same thing. You basically just play this card to block elusive creatures, but it also draws your card, so it just replaces itself. You play this 3-mana kill spell for any 3-costing card. This is basically going to be for your Zed and Katarina matchups, because you need a spell to deal with Zed or basically Katarina, because you can't really deal with her through combat. This card stuns a unit, so it's a really nice tempo play. You can play it on turn 3 and stop your opponent from attacking with their Zed or Katarina. You can play Steel Tempest to stop them from connecting with their Zed or Katarina or any really big creature. You have Deny for your mid-range or late-game matchups, and Deny is just really good. Scaled Snapper is really nice. I really like this card. It's not too impressive if you just look at it, but I feel like in practice it'll be a lot better. So it could be a 3-mana 2/5, which is really nice at blocking. That can easily block 2 aggro creatures. So it could potentially 2-for-1 your opponent if it's on the defensive side. But also if you find yourself playing against a control deck, you can flip it over into a 5/2 and then just put your opponent on this like super fast clock out of nowhere. Then so all of those cards that you just saw are basically going to be for the aggro matchups. And then everything past Yasuo is going to be for your mid-range / control matchups, or more like the mid-range mirror match, because I don't expect to hit too much. So you have your general, so the longer in the game, the bigger he gets. You have the potential of just playing a 5-mana 10/10 out of nowhere, 5-mana 12/12, which is hard to deal with. Intimidating Roar. This card is also for your aggro matchups. This is going to be like a pseudo board wipe for you. If you have Yasuo on the field, you play this, it's going to kill every one of your opponent's creatures. You have Minotaur Reckoner. This creates a soft lock with Yasuo, where your opponent's creature is taking 2 damage every turn or is dying to Yasuo's flipped side every single turn. And then you have Mina Swiftfoot, where, like I said, this is going to be for your mid-range matchups, where you play her late in the game, bounce 3 of your opponent's creatures back, and then you can go ahead and just attack. And now you just bounce 3 of your opponent's creatures, so they have 2 less blockers than before, assuming they played one. Because you can play Mina, you bounce 3 creatures, and they have priority, so they can play 1 creature, but then you just attack. So you effectively got rid of 2 blockers, and that should be enough to put you over at that point when you're swinging with big-ass creatures like a 6/5. So we're going to go ahead and just do a test hand with this. So this hand is really good if you're against an aggro deck. You can probably get rid of one of the Culling Strikes for maybe another creature. And oops, I don't know if that worked or not, but I don't know. That was kind of glitched. But if that turned into any creature, it would have been good. Even if it stayed a Culling Strike, it wasn't bad. It's just you want more creatures early game to try and block and save more life. But if that, is able to kill a unit, it's going to do the same thing as one of your. So this hand is really, really good. You can probably get rid of the Will of Ionia for either a cheaper creature or a more direct kill spell. Yasuo is fine because it turns into a Steel Tempest once you play your first Yasuo. So you have early game, this can save you life. Then you play this against an aggro deck. It's a 2/5 that saves you life. Turn 3 turns into you play your Yasuo, and then turn 4 you're able to have a Steel Tempest on backup. So that's a good hand. And then the final hand here is, this hand's not very good. See, this hand is the type of hand where you will lose. So you want to go and get rid of all your expensive cards, and we're going to hope for like 2 creatures and then another spell here. So we got exactly that. We got a really nice defensive creature here. We got another nice creature here that will replace itself, and then you have 2 kill spells for any early game threat that your opponent plays. So that overall those were all pretty good hands. So those are going to be the 3 decks that I'm going to be playing for the first week or so. And I'm going to try and enter in some tournaments with them. The first deck I'm going to make, like I said, is this Yasuo deck, because I feel like it's the most well-rounded, where you have the early game answers, but you also have late game, threats for the mirror matches and mid-range. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I can't make a I can't make a code for you guys to copy because I still can't sign in to Mobalytics for some reason. But yeah, if you want to watch me play these decks, I'll be live every day or Monday through Friday, starting at 11 a.m. Central Time, Central Standard Time, and on Friday I'm going to be streaming for like 14 hours or something like that. So make sure you stop by and check that out. And I'll be posting a lot of videos on how my decks do. I'll be posting videos on expedition runs that I do. Hopefully I can get some 7-0s. And yeah, all that fun stuff. So let me know what decks you guys are planning to play on opening day tomorrow, now that we saw all the patch notes. I'm super excited. Maybe stop by and let me know what you guys are playing or having success with, and I'll try it out on stream for you guys. But that's going to be it. I'm going to put all of the deck list in the description if it'll let me. I know there'll be a lot of typing, so I hope it all fits. But I'm just going to go and type in like 1 Guile or 2 Guiles, like 3 Fabloid Twirlers, stuff like that in the description, so you can just easily copy paste it without having to zoom in on your monitor and like squint to try and see what all these card names are. Try and help you guys out if you're interested. So that's going to be it for this video. Like I said, go follow me on Twitch, subscribe here so you guys don't miss anything, and I'll see you in my next video.